Today is March 25th. And if that name, why is that date? Why is that date? Oh, that's right. So on March 25th, 10 years ago today, in 2016, the movie, nay, the event, Batman versus Superman, came out and hit theaters. As you can see here, we are today celebrating the 10th anniversary of Batman versus Superman.
Definitely why I think of March 25th.
That's why most people do. Mark it down. And when you look forward here today, we're in the launch of a new DC era. I pointed out in an editorial video I did before, if you want to know just how good James Gunn did and Peter Safran did at relaunching the DCEU, their first movie out of the gate had higher critic, audience scores, and box office than the previous 9 DCEU films. That's how bad of a slide, and that's how well he got them out of the funk. I mean, so congratulations to that. But, as we look back to the completely miserably failed DCEU. Now, and I say that as a guy who liked or loved every single movie in the DCEU other than 2, the Birds of Prey, Harley Quinn movie, and Wonder Woman 1984. Didn't like those 2. But I at minimum liked, and some I loved, all the rest of the movies. I really did, but a lot of the audience did not agree with me. A lot of the critics didn't agree with me. A lot of the audience didn't agree with me, and the box office certainly didn't agree. And it was time to move on. But almost no movie kind of represents that dichotomy, if you will. I think than Batman versus Superman. And today, 10 years later, I still defend this movie. I like this movie. Do I think it was as good as Man of Steel? No. Do I think it had a couple of problems? Yes. But did I overall walk out of that theater with a big smile on my face? Absolutely, I did. I absolutely did. And the reason I bring up this article here, the one in Screen Rant, they talk about 4 things that aged well and a few things that didn't. A number of them are right on par with me. Let me talk to you about a couple of things that this movie did great. First of all, I never thought, ever, we would ever get an opening to a comic book movie that would come anywhere near close to the opening of X-Men 2 with Nightcrawler attacking the White House. I never thought it would ever happen. I don't think that's the greatest comic book movie of all time, but that's the greatest opening to a comic book movie ever. And I never thought we would have a film that would contend with that. Batman versus Superman came along and it did it. That whole opening, first of all, what a great way to introduce us to Bruce Wayne and to Batman, and to tie into the events of what happened in Man of Steel. That whole sequence of telling it from the perspective of Bruce Wayne when Zod and Superman were fighting in Metropolis, and what he saw. Like in Man of Steel, we saw from the perspective of our hero, Kal-El, but from there we saw it from the perspective of a mortal on the ground, Bruce Wayne. And that whole scene when he saves the little girl and finds out that little girl's mom is dead, and then the camera starts. First of all, Zack Snyder and his cinematographer in that scene, oh my God, starting the camera above Bruce's head and have Ben Affleck turn into the camera as he looks up to the sky without a word of dialogue. And everything you need to know is written all over his face. And in that opening, in that moment, they completely underscored every ounce of motivation and reason behind everything Bruce does in the rest of the movie. It's brilliant. It's better than brilliant. It's the best opening to any comic book movie ever. That little movie called Avengers Endgame with Hawkeye and his family disappearing, that was pretty damn good too. Different, but also awesome. But I still contend that is the greatest opening to any of these movies ever. Also, it gave us Ben Affleck as Batman.
Who was great.
Who I think gave us, I'm not saying he was better than Christian Bale's Batman. That's not what I'm saying. Hear my words. But I think he gave us the most accurate Batman ever. He was the first actor to play Batman, I think, that really communicated the fact that Bruce Wayne died in that alley with his parents, and the Batman was born. And the real person is Batman, and the fake mask is Bruce Wayne. Now, The Dark Knight is one of the greatest comic book movies of all time, definitely the greatest Batman movie of all time. But Christian Bale played that character like he's still Bruce Wayne, and he puts on the persona of Batman. That's not Batman. Batman is Batman, and he puts on the fake persona. And Ben Affleck did such a great job of really embodying that. Like, even when he's talking to Alfred, it really comes across. Like, there's still Bruce Wayne-isms in him, for sure. But that was just brilliant. The other thing I got to say that I loved the action in the movie. I really did. I love the action. I had a lot of fun with it. But most importantly, everybody forever wanted a movie where Batman fought Superman. Hell, even in that Will Smith vampire movie, in the abandoned streets as Will Smith, what was it called again? His version of Omega Man. What was it called again? I Am Legend. He's walking down the street, and even a billboard up on the abandoned movie theater said Batman versus Superman. Right?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Everybody always wanted it. But how do you play out a god fighting a man? And damn it, Zack Snyder did it, man. I thought that fight was awesome. I thought mechanically it played out in a way that it totally fit comic book logic. It was brutal. It was like the stakes were high. You could feel it. And I love that fight. One of the biggest knocks on Batman vs. Superman is, of course, the Martha scene that comes at the end of that Batman vs. Superman fight. Now, about 7 years ago, maybe 8 years ago, I did an editorial called Defending the Martha Scene because, and I do blame this is Zack Snyder's fault for not communicating it properly, but I think everybody misunderstands that scene. Like, Superman doesn't say Martha and Bruce goes, "Oh my God, you and me have the same mom name. Oh my," like that's the way everybody took it. That's not the way it was meant. But again, that responsibility lies on Zack Snyder. I contend when you watch the movie and you understand that when Superman says, look, he's about to die, and his last thing in dying is a completely selfless act, asking Batman to go and save somebody else. And when he says that, and of course there's a coincidence with the name Martha, when he says that, I think it shakes everything that Batman thinks about this alien he's about to kill. I think it makes Bruce look at what he's about to do. And there's a version of Batman versus Superman called the Arkham Cut that does a little bit of re-editing, that when he says that and Batman is stunned, he rehears. In the Arkham Cut, they replay, playing like a ghost in his head, some of the words that Alfred said to him. Like, it turns good men cruel, right, and blah, blah. And to me, when I watch that scene, that's what's happening. But again, I understand why audiences saw it differently, because, and that is Zack Snyder's fault for not portraying it the right way. Now, are there problems with how they handled Doomsday? Absolutely. Was the way they chose to portray Lex Luthor problematic? Probably. It's not a perfect movie. But Rob, I stand here 10 years to the day, and I still defend this movie. I don't think it's one of the greatest comic book movies of all time, but I enjoy Batman versus Superman. I think it's a good, enjoyable film. I think the pros outweigh the cons, and I still defend it to this day. This episode is brought to you by Pocket Hose, the world's #1 expandable hose. Guys, I got to tell you, the brand new Pocket Hose Copperhead with Pocket Pivot is absolutely fantastic. First of all, if you've ever dealt with one of those old school hoses, you know exactly how annoying they are. They kink, they crease up at the spigot, and half the times it feels like you're fighting the hose more than actually watering anything. But the Pocket Hose Copperhead has this pocket pivot that swivels 360 degrees so you get full water flow and way more freedom to move around your home and yard with ease. And here's the part I really love. When you're done, it shrinks right back down to pocket size, which makes it ridiculously easy to carry, handle, and store. And after trying the Pocket Hose, I am never going back. I even now pack it with me and bring it in my camper van. It's that versatile and that good. Plus, it's backed with a 10-year warranty, which is awesome. So for a limited time, my listeners and viewers get a free pocket pivot and their 10-pattern sprayer with the purchase of any size of Copperhead hose. Just text Campea to 64,000. That's Campea to 64,000 for your 2 free gifts with purchase. Campea to 64,000. Message and data rates may apply. See terms for details. Anyway, Rob, here we are 10 years later. And maybe, I don't know if you agree with me or not when I say maybe nothing represents the schism that happened and kind of maybe the whole DCEU going off its rails early as represented more than with Batman versus Superman. But as you look back 10 years later, what's the legacy of this film? What are the thoughts that come to you 10 years later? I don't know. What do you think about it?
I would call my relationship to this movie problematic.
That's fair.
On one hand, I will tell you this. I love to watch it. I've got multiple cuts of it. I own multiple cuts on physical media. I think the movie is a glorious mess. Like in the middle of the movie, suddenly Batman's having the nightmare sequence, where he's dreaming the anti-life equation, and Earth is being turned into apocalypse by Darkseid, and it's like, what does this have to do with anything? And I love it. I love watching the nightmare scene. I love seeing Jared Leto's Joker, and I love seeing everybody in the post-apocalyptic road warrior wasteland, and I'm like, what the hell is this doing in this movie? I understand it was setting up Justice League, but then suddenly you're at a congressional hearing with Holly Hunter, and Lex Luthor brings up a mason jar of piss, Granny's sweet peach tea, or whatever. There's so much, and then Superman's rescuing Lois Lane, and Jimmy Olsen's a CIA agent. There is so much wacky shit in this movie, and for me, and then Wonder Woman shows up, with the greatest theme song ever, and it's so there's all this stuff.
Shout out
in
to
this
Tina
movie.
Gao, by the way.
Yeah, totally. Oh my God, talk about hot. Ugh. Hot and talented.
But it was so annoying when they added this scene to the trailer, because you're like, okay.
Yeah, totally. So there's all this stuff in this movie that I like watching, but it's all like from different movies. Yeah. But when you watch it all together, I'm like, what am I supposed to take away from all this? Like, where is all this going? Like, I think that there is an interesting, like, I look at this movie and I really love the scene where Lex Luthor introduces Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent.
Yeah.
First of all, the idea that Gotham City is across the river or across the sea from Gotham is the dumbest shit in the world. I'm like, what? Superman never flew over there to check Batman out? Like, they've never. Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent, I love bringing people together. I'm like, you guys live across the bay from one another, and none of that stuff makes any sense at all. And I'm watching all this. I love that one scene with Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent. I love watching, like, they clearly know who each other is. They're like,
they're playing a little game of mental chess.
Yeah, I would love to have seen a totally different movie.
Me too.
That has all of
Should have gone to a different theater.
That has all of this stuff in it, because I prefer the ultimate cut. Like, I watch the ultimate cut, and I find myself, I enjoy all the scenes in this movie. They're just all from different movies.
What about that scene when they already have logos for Wonder Woman and stuff?
Oh my God. And that's Lex Luthor's figured out for all the meta humans. Yeah. Here's the one. And then suddenly there's Aquaman, there's Flash, there's all. And I'm like, did anybody read the script before they shot it? Because it seems like, now here's the thing. I love all of these scenes. Like, I watch them, I go, I love this nightmare scene. I love seeing, because I know what it is. But I'm like, who decided to put Darkseid and the anti-life equation and the thing, and Lois Lane is dead? Like, all of that said, John, I put this movie on. If sometimes it's late at night and I'm looking, what do I want to watch on HBO? I'm like, oh, Batman v Superman. And I'll just turn it on and watch random scenes. Like, oh, here's a Doomsday movie. Like, did we ever get a Doomsday movie? Not really, but we got 15 minutes of a Doomsday movie within Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. So let's watch that for a while. And then I'll go back and I'll watch Batman in the warehouse scene. Batman and Alfred. Where's the Ben Affleck Batman movie, by the way? Oh, there isn't one. There's 15 minutes of one that you can watch. And I'm like, I just saw the Ben Affleck Batman movie. Deathstroke the Terminator was the villain. We don't get to see that movie, but we get this little bit that they shoved into this film.
The most we saw was in the Flash movie. Remember at the beginning, and he's there on the bridge?
And I'll totally watch. And I kind of watch the Flash movie like that too. But I will say this. Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice is it's a bad movie, but I love everything about it.
I still think it's a good movie. I listen. You know what the funny thing is? Everything you just said, I agree. I do. But I think it's one of those situations where for you, all those things mean the negatives outweighed the positive. To me, the positives still outweighed the negatives. So like, that's why I'll say I still like the movie. I still think it's a good movie. You think it's a bad movie.
But I love everything in it. But it's just like I'm watching 5 or 10 or 15 or maybe 20 different movies all within the same movie. And from 1 minute to the next, it can't decide what movie it wants to be.
But you know what? You mentioned the ultimate cut. And it kind of highlights one of the problems with all of the Snyder cutisms, which was, you know, we have a really good friend who's a professional editor in this business. He's very successful. Our buddy Cliff, we've had him on the show before. And, you know, he was really the first one. Like, I watched the ultimate cut. And I said, you know, I think overall this is a better version, but something's wrong. Something's wrong. And I remember Cliff said to me, and this is put into perfect thing. He goes, when you do a new edit means you take some things out to make it flow better. Like it's a new edit is not just taking a dump truck full of other footage and belching it back into the movie and just leaving everything else as it was. He said, you know, Batman versus Superman, an ultimate cut was the right idea. A lot of the new stuff they put in was great, but it needed to be rearranged a little bit and it needed some things cut out. And then the same thing happened when you got to the Justice League director's cut that he did. He still left all of his own stuff in there and just belched out a whole bunch of new stuff. It's still made for, at the end of the day, I think a better version, but it could have been so much better if they actually did an edit rather than just adding new scenes.
I love Zack Snyder.
We actually ran into each other at ArcLight Hollywood the night of BVS. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
you guys were coming out and we were going in the bar area.
Yes. I mean, look, I will say this. I love Zack Snyder's Man of Steel or Justice League trilogy overall, because for all of its faults or whatever, he took all of these DC characters and made them the way I felt about them when I was a little kid. They all were like James Gunn's new gods and monsters. I felt like I was watching, this is like a 70s van with airbrushed art on the side. And every image in this movie is like a 70s van painting. And I love it. I love it. It's not good, but I love everything in it. You know, all the elements are great. Superman and Batman look great. All the superheroes look great. I love everything. I love Momoa's Aquaman. Come at me, bro. I like The Flash. I love Wonder Woman. I like Paradise Island. I like whatever. It was like the DC universe writ large, the way I've always wanted to see it. The problem is none of it holds together, but I don't care.
All right, guys. That down question is for you. What do you think? It is hard to believe, but it's been 10 years now since Batman versus Superman came out. Maybe the poster child of the divisiveness that formed over the DCEU. Totally understandable. I still like the film, but I understand and agree with a lot of the criticisms of it. Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show Podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.